Everybody, welcome back to the Relentless Growth Podcast with myself, Chase, and my good friend Jack. Jack, how are you doing today?
Doing great, man. It's a beautiful day here. Excited to hopefully say something smart. We'll see.
There you go, man. Well, I keep forgetting to do it, but I think I remember this time. Let's start with wins, and then we can dive into it. What's a win that you want to share for this week?
Yeah, big win for us this week is we're pulling our grading permit on a 336 unit multifamily complex, and it'll be our first one. Granted, it's only 15 minutes away, but it's outside of our town of Spring Hill. It's in Columbia. It's a town south. So it's a big win, and it'll be our first chance to kind of be operating in two locations. And so we'll see how we fare at that. But big win for us.
Nice, man. That's freaking awesome. And it's cool that it's like a little bit outside of where you're used to working, but it's still only 15 minutes away. So it's not, so it sounds like a better way to start than an hour and a half away or something. So
right.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I think for me, it's just we've been rocking and rolling, and we've been trying to sprinkle in some of these customer build to rents to kind of the same thing we're doing internally, doing for customers. I think we're going to be starting another 9 or 10 of them for one of these turnkey companies, and so that's good for us because it's very similar to what we're already doing, and again allows us just to do something for a customer like that. They're easy to work with, and there seems to be a big demand for these same build to rents we're holding, but also for these turnkey customers to sell to their customers. So that's a good one for us.
That's awesome. That's a big market.
Cool, man. Well, before we get too far into it, hey, for those of it out there listening, if you guys are getting value from this or you like what you're hearing, don't forget to like the podcast, or follow us, or share, depending on what platform you're listening to. Again, as we're putting some of these out there, the more people we can get in front of, the better. And so we really appreciate it. And then Jack, just jumping into it today, what we're going to talk about is the importance of building a Rockstar team and how that's helped us and helped our businesses. And so I don't know if you want to start with just kind of why your team's important and why it really helps define the success of your company and what you guys are doing over there.
Yeah, I mean, man, it's a huge topic. I think there's a lot that could be said here, but just to kind of start it off, I would say we run the EOS system in our business, and so we've got a leadership team. And that leadership team is the heartbeat of everything we do. And I think the real key to me of a good team is attitude. It's not so much skill set. It's not so much things on a resume. It's people who are willing to jump in when things get tough, to solve problems, to do things outside their comfort zone. And I think if you've got a group of people that are going in the same direction with that attitude, it's our perspective, at least, that there's pretty much anything we can't do. And there's lots of things we shouldn't do that we manage to do because we don't know we shouldn't do it, And I think just that belief, that mindset that we can grow and we can accomplish things and we can do things differently than everybody else. And I think it's really a mindset thing that makes a good leadership team or a good team to scale, because you've got to have that belief and that really overconfidence in some ways that, hey, we can actually do this. So that's kind of where I'd start with the conversation, but I'd love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, so EOS is very interesting to me. It's something that I have obviously read the books and heard about for a long time, but we hadn't formally started implementing it until recently ourselves. And so I can definitely see the power of running a business system like EOS to help not just build out the team, but having like a structured way for the team to like work together, on the business and to solve those problems or issues as they arise. It seems like there's a lot of power to that. How long have you guys been running the EOS for? I know it's been a little bit for you guys.
Oh, I should know that number better than I do. I think it's almost 5 years now. We started during COVID. And so that was obviously, it was a good time to be a builder during COVID. And so that system is probably what allowed us to make it through it. Just because of, and it's not, I think everybody I talk to who runs EOS agrees, there is literally zero special about EOS. It's just doing the things you know you should be doing and committing to them. It's not a magic thing. It's a system that works if you commit to doing it. But that commitment and doing it for 5 years now, it's helped us a lot. But we're still implementing new things. We're still making changes. We're nowhere near where we need to be, but we've seen a ton of growth from it over the years.
I'm gonna dig in just on a couple more questions, just for my own personal benefit, because like I said, we're in the process of implementing it. We're growing, right? And you guys, it's interesting to me because you guys had a very successful, large existing business and then implemented EOS. We are a smaller, growing business that's implementing EOS to help us grow. When you implemented EOS, did you guys already have all the executive team members that were a part of the company that all, through EOS took on those roles, or did you guys have to place or hire new people into the company just to fill some of those EOS executive team roles?
Yeah, sure. So it's a great question, and we started out with a core leadership team. So we had a team in place when we started EOS, who started the meetings, the process, everything like that. And that team we've had in the past 4 or 5 years, we've had 2 people lead that leadership team, and then we've had 2 people join it. So we've had a little bit of turnover, and those 2 new people are relatively new employees, 3 years, 4 years. A lot of people on our team, we're fortunate, have been with the company for 20, 25 years. And so it's a little different that we've got some newer people on the team now, but it just goes to that attitude and that willingness to dive in. And so that's kind of how we've transitioned the team over the years, and for varying reasons. But that's really right seat on the bus. That's really what's been the core for us, is that attitude.
That's awesome. And has there been, if you can think back because 5 years is kind of a long time to be running that, is there something that you guys, or something that stands out as like one of the biggest changes or impact that operating for the team operating in that way that you, or like a lesson learned or something? Like for us, for example, again, me being selfish and using this as a time to learn for us, is there something that like, hey, just heads up if, you could run into these issues or anything like that comes to mind with implementing and running EOS with your team?
Yeah, there's a ton, honestly. I think the biggest thing is the company used to run in a kind of a siloed manner. Everybody was doing their things, and everybody knew mainly what was going on big picture, but probably not the whole picture. And so by sitting down for an hour and a half every week, everybody knows where the company's headed, and they can help get us there. And so I think that's like a super simple thing, but it's a big deal. And then the other thing is everybody's got good ideas. And so when we talk about construction problems we're having, there have been times when our controller has had a good idea on the construction standpoint, because she's looking at it from a totally different perspective. We're down in the weeds of a minutia issue, and she's looking at it from a big picture of, hey, that doesn't really make sense. Why don't you do X? And it's like, yeah, that's actually a great idea, And so I think that's been, if I had to pinpoint one thing, I think that's been the biggest thing, is when you talk about issues in a group setting with people from every aspect of the company, you're going to get solutions that you didn't expect, that you never would have thought of yourself, and that are great because they're coming from places and people with different perspectives than you have. So that's probably been the biggest impact.
Yeah, I love that. We're in, where we're at in the US right now, we're still filling seats on our leadership team as we can, right? And that's one of the things we've been interviewing for, like a fractional CFO, similar to like a controller that would sit in that finance role, but on a part-time kind of basis. And that's one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot going into that, is we want somebody who's not just going to be able to help with like the financial knowledge and the financial decision-making direction of the company, but who can also have just a different lens and be able to give input on, maybe it's a construction issue or a personnel issue, but just have another smart person who can give input, bring ideas. one of the things I really like about EOS. I think for me, just to kind of like maybe shift a little bit and give some perspective to some people that are kind of just getting started. Um, Building a team has been super powerful for me, but like when I started out, like I didn't, I didn't necessarily have like any team, right? It was just me. Like I was just started out just kind of hustling and doing everything, probably not very well, but doing a lot of it, right? And then just being kind of overwhelmed. And then for me, I think one of the things that really started to catapult my business is to just bringing on team members or people to help take some of that load off my plate. And the more that I've been able to give that stuff and hand that stuff off to other people or other team members, it's just opened up the ability for me to grow. And so, like, for those out there that aren't necessarily working in a larger company or in a bigger business to start, but they're just getting started and just trying to figure it out, I think that when they're looking at building a team or building a Rockstar team, like, it's really important just to, like, who's that first hire that they can make that could come on and hopefully somebody that's like smarter than you, who's maybe going to be really good at something that you maybe either aren't that great at or don't necessarily enjoy that much, so you can focus on what you're really good at, and then just build from that. When I think like real estate investors or for me, like because I was real estate investing and doing real estate sales and all this stuff, it was a field guy, like just hiring a field guy to go run errands and pick up materials and make sure all the little knickknack stuff got done and kind of be on the job sites on a daily basis doing stuff. Like that was one of the first team members for me. And then the next one was somebody we're in-house with our property management, was an in-house property manager. Like, I think anybody that's in real estate investing where it's like in a larger capacity, like you guys are doing, or a small capacity or just getting started, property management is probably one of the most important things, but it's also like one of the hardest, you know what I mean? And one of the things that, like, at least for me, like I don't love it so much, but if you don't do it well, like you're not going to be successful. And so bringing somebody in who could really own the property management and just, and again, doing a better job of what I was doing because I had so much going on. I wasn't giving it the attention it needed. So I think whether you're a bigger business and you're looking at scaling, like having that team is super important, or if you're just getting started, like slowly starting to build that team, to kind of, like the Dan Martell, buy back your time, just buy back some of your time so you can focus on your most important tasks is really important.
And one thing to jump on that you said that I think is super important there is hiring people who are smarter than you. And I think sometimes that's intimidating because we all want to be the smartest person. We want to, especially if you're the leader, you want to be in charge, you want to be the smartest person. But the more we can humble ourselves and understand that we shouldn't be the smartest person. If we're the smartest person in the room, the saying goes, you're in the wrong room, And so everybody on our leadership team is infinitely better than me at everything they do. And that's the way it should be. And it's awesome. And that's not to say I don't input my opinion occasionally, but the better people you can have, the more you can focus on your unique skill. And everybody's, that's what we focus on, is highest and best use, is where can you input the things that only you can do in the business. And so the better people you have in those leadership positions, the farther you can go.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's been very obvious and upfront to me, especially like with this fractional CFO role. Like that's going to be a hard one. I've been blown away by the people applying for that. Are just like super smart. The issue I run into, and maybe this will bring us into the next part of this, but like identifying who to bring on, because it's like I've been blown away because we posted this position and we've just gotten dozens of applications of people, and they're all freaking rock stars. They're all super smart. And so it's like trying to narrow down and figure out who we're going to pick for this has been a little bit more challenging. I can probably speak to in a little bit, like some of the smaller team member roles, how we've had some success, like filling some of those positions. But you said that you've recently, within the last couple of years, placed some new higher level, like executive team members. How did you guys, find the talent, and then two, kind of make that decision? Because I'm sure it was similar where you had probably more to choose from, and they were probably all really qualified.
Yeah, sure. So the two new members, one of them is our director of construction, and so he was with a national builder for a long time, almost 30 years, and he moved to Tennessee a couple years back and actually bought a house from us. And so a lot of times when we hire people, it's a roundabout scenario, And so he bought a house from us, and we ended up building side by side in a neighborhood for a year and a half or so, and he approached my dad and said, "Hey, I'm looking for a change," and my dad had a meeting with him, and then the team met with him, and we brought him on board. And in that case, and this is something we've done, I would say successfully, that's a little unique, is we really didn't know at that point what he was going to do. We didn't have like an opening necessarily. We didn't have something in mind, but we liked him. We trusted him. We thought he would do a really good job. And so we kind of made that hire. And what my dad has always kind of said is, if you make a big hire like that, you got to throw away the first 6 months. Don't have any big expectations for 6 months. Let them get their feet under them, figure out where they fit. And, you fast forward, whatever, 4 years since then, he's in charge of all our construction, single family, multifamily, anything we've got going on. And it started out from hiring him from a position that didn't exist, and so sometimes good people come into your life and you just got to make a decision. And I think some of those have been key hires we've made where we like them, we trust them, we're really not positive what they're going to do, but we think they're going to be great. And so just being flexible with that has been one of our keys for sure.
Man, that's awesome. I really like that. Have you guys ever run into any situations where you find somebody like that? Obviously, like in that situation, that makes sense that if he's running construction for another company, like he's going to probably fill some type of construction capacity with you. But have you had those employees in the last couple of years where they were like the right person and they were a great company fit, they were hard workers and all the things you guys look for, but maybe like the position they were working wasn't the right seat for them?
Yep.
So I guess, have you experienced that, and how have you handled that with you guys internally?
Yeah, we experience it all the time. And I think it's not even like a one-time thing. It's, you got to reevaluate every year, every couple of years. And so we tend to, more than most, probably move people around internally a lot. And so, cause people get burned out, they want to change. And if they're good people, we want to keep them. And so, we've had people shift from, to give, construction specific terms, from punch team to warranty team to, we got somebody working in the warehouse now who did both those roles. And so what we try and look at is, and I had a conversation about this week, who your boss is matters. And we really don't want to move people around based on personality and how they get along with people, but sometimes it's a reality. And so sometimes, certain people work better under different people. And so we make changes probably more than we should in that regard. But it keeps people interested. It keeps everybody flexible and gives everybody a pretty well-rounded skill set. And so if we do have people leave the team or things happen, we've got a variety of people who can jump in and fill a bunch of roles. But it's something that, we have conversations about that every week on how we can move people, tweak, and see what we can do to keep people operating at their highest and best use.
Awesome. I really like that. Again, it's I think I'm asking questions right now just to benefit us, because this is all stuff that we're going through right now. One thing that I think you touched on, and something that I think about a lot when it comes to recruiting good team members, and I think like as we grow our company, like one thing that's important for us is that it's like, one, we have, we're aligned with the values that we're setting through stuff like EOS, but they're also just building like a good culture, and really being like a company where people will want to work. And I do feel that the more you can probably lean into that as a business, whether you're a small business or a big business, right? It'll help like bring people to you, even if you're not necessarily in a spot where you're looking for to hire right now, or if you are. But if you have a good reputation and just being a good place to work and a good group of people to work with, I think it makes it a lot easier to recruit some of these team members and really recruit kind of top talent. Any thoughts or anything you've experienced with that?
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I really think that's one of the secrets that not a lot of people tap into enough. And it's people appreciate really small things. I think that's what like most people don't like. We have a company lunch once a month, and we like good food, so we have good food. We probably spend more money than we should each month on company lunch, but like people love that. Like it's such a small in the grand scheme of things, it's such a small thing, but it means a ton to people. And even like I joke, we had a guy a couple of years ago who, man, he needed a tool. He needed like a very specific trim gun to do his job better. And that meant more to him than if we had given him the biggest bonus he'd ever got, and so it's finding out the little things that mean something to people that you can provide. And it makes a world of difference. And then like another thing that we do, for the right reasons, I hope, but it helps with recruiting too, is we're super active in the community. We're active with the chamber. We're active with our local police, a lot of different things. And so our name is out there. And so I think that helps attract people as well, because you do have so many, whether it's national companies or companies that have a division in town, and they're there to do business and that's it. And, and that's not true for us. I live here. Our goal is to be a part of the community. And so I think that's a big attraction to people as well, that, we've been here, we're here to stay, we live here. And so I think all those add up, but it's really small things that make a good culture. If somebody's kids are sick, being flexible, hey, do what you got to do, go home. It's all the little things. It's not, you don't need to have a company trip to Mexico, not that I'm sure our people would love that, but it's all the little things every day that add up more than the big things,
That's awesome. I love the company lunch thing. Do you guys cater that in, or you guys go out somewhere?
We used to, when we had less people, we would it would actually be like a potluck, and we would have everybody brought a little bit of everything. But we've got almost 60 people now, so we cater it in. But like our last company lunch, we had a crawfish boil, and so
that's awesome.
We had our employees who did that and cooked everything, and so we do a variety of things: pizza, Italian, just fun stuff, Mexican, and just people really like it.
Yeah, that's really cool. I really like that. I think that's great. Like very tactical, useful advice that businesses can use to kind of set that culture and the group of people. And again, just having that work environment where people want, for us, it's like they want to work with us and they're excited to show up to work. I think we've all, at least I have had jobs in the past where I dreaded going to work, and that's not something I ever want to have for anybody that works with us. Cool. I think kind of moving along, anything else you want to share as far as like tools or strategies that you use to align your team? I know EOS, like we're both running EOS for a management system, but anything else that useful? Like we use Asana for project management. It helps on the construction side, keeping everything together and communicating. But any other tools you guys use that you find useful?
We're about as non-technological as you could get. We just implemented Slack within the last couple of weeks. So we've got various Slack channels for different parts of the company, and that's been effective. But the only thing I would say on that is the first weekly meeting we ever implemented was our leadership team. And then we implemented a logistics meeting where it's just a couple of us, but we talk through the nitty gritty of the stuff that doesn't need to make it all the way up to the leadership meeting. And then just recently we started kind of a logistics meeting for the whole team. Anybody who has people under them, we have a meeting every Tuesday morning to kind of roll out the schedule, priorities. We look at a calendar, and so I think the more times you can get people in a room together, it's great. I think a problem that we're currently experiencing is we've got a lot of different verticals, and you start to see silos pop up. People not talking as much as they should, or getting frustrated and not getting that stuff taken care of. And so I think the more times you can get leaders in a room together, and if you've got problems, solve them. I think that's been one of our keys lately that we're not to the finish line on yet, but we're starting to work through. And first of all, you're just getting started and you're making stuff up. We make everything up every day. And that, I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions in business is it's my general opinion that everybody's making everything up all the time. I don't care if you're a Fortune 500 company or if you got 3 people. It's the same thing. It's just a little bigger, a little different decisions, but we're all just figuring it out. And so I can learn from Chase as much as I can learn from somebody in Nebraska who's flipping his first house. There's lessons everywhere. And so to me, I would turn the question on you as well. Like what's your biggest stuff? Because going from where you started to a couple people, at least I feel like that's the hardest stretch. So I feel like you've probably learned the most lessons in the last couple of years. So what have kind of been your key takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, a couple things. I think the U.S. has been huge for like the leadership level and working on the business. I think I would agree, like on the smaller meetings, one thing we're doing a little bit of, but we want to continue to push on is like kind of like department type weekly meetings as well. So just having like a weekly pulse. And again, for us, even if that's only like the property management meetings, only 3 people meeting to talk about it, but at least having everybody that's dealing with property management come together as a group and have discussions about not just the what's going on this week, but like, hey, what issues are arising, or this happened, like how can we handle this better next time type deal. So I think having that weekly meeting pulse, we've done it in the past with construction as well, where we'd have like a weekly construction meeting just so everybody's on the same page about where all the projects are at. And something we could probably be a little bit better about. Another thing that I think is kind of like, I don't know, like a hack today is like there's been this huge push to remote work over the last several years, especially through COVID. And I am super guilty of this because I worked from home or worked remotely for probably 10 years. So I was very comfortable working remotely like that. But just, I would say it's probably been a year and a half that we've had an actual like brick and mortar office location where everybody's come into the office to work. And not, again, more people, I hope everybody wants to, but like for me, just the ability to be more productive, but then also kind of communicate more clearly. Like when something happens, it's a lot easier for the property manager to walk down the hall and say, hey, this is going on with so-and-so. How should I handle this? Versus like if we were just 100% remote, let me send them an email and then maybe they'll respond in a couple hours. And so I think there's a lot of value, and there's a big push for companies not to be in office. But I think especially with what we do, having people in office where they can go next door and ask a question is just super valuable, that and a little bit underrated, I think, right now, because it doesn't seem like a lot of people are valuing that. I think it's very valuable.
No, that's a great distinction. Yeah, I mean, I think the benefit you get out of being in person every day is it's probably incalculable. I know the little decisions, the input you get from people, the stuff that, hey, I would have decided this on my own if I was working on my laptop, but since I'm here, I'll ask a couple people and it'll get tweaked a little bit. And so I think it's huge. And I think we don't plan on doing anything different anytime soon. I'm hoping it stays around because it's a really important component of a business. And when you talk about culture, it's tough to get culture on Zoom or Skype, And I think Skype's dead now, so that ages me that reference, I guess. But culture happens in person, and I'm sure there are exceptions to that, but it doesn't happen virtually. It's got to happen in person, and that's people crave that. We had a guy a couple of months back, and I hated that he was going through something health wise at home with his family, and he said, "Man, I'm happy to be at work. I was like, man, that's awesome. Like, I hate that you're going through something at home, but isn't it great that like this is a positive in his life? That it's not like, hey, home's tough and I'm dreading going to work. He was excited. He was like, here, I get to solve problems. I get to do stuff. I'm happy to be coming to work right now. And that's a feeling that you only get if you've got the right culture, the right people. And so I think you make a great distinction about being in person.
No, yeah, I personally think it's super valuable. It's been a game changer for us, I think. Cool. I think that's it. Anything else that you want to share on this topic or that you think is important?
No, I think the biggest thing, and you made the encouragement last time, is just jump in and do it. Hire somebody. If it doesn't work out, fantastic. It doesn't work out. I think that going back to when I joined the company, we had 20 people, I think, and we've got 60 now. So we've scaled a little bit. But when my dad started and it was just him, he always talked about the hardest decision he ever made was hiring that first person. And I think it's the most critical thing because you could do it alone, Chase, and you could do it successfully for a long time at not as much scale, and you could have a great living. But hiring that first person, breaking that wall to, hey, I can scale, I can use people, I can leverage talent. I think that's the biggest thing. And so even if you make a bad hire, don't be obsessed with making perfect hires. One of the notes we looked at had, hire slow, fire fast. We traditionally normally operate on hire fast, fire fast, where we'll give somebody a chance to prove themselves, but if they can't, they can't. And so it's a little different, for higher level positions, but make a hire, see if it works out. If it doesn't, then it doesn't, and you move on. But I think getting started is the biggest thing.
I think one other thing, and it's just what you said kind of makes this, makes me think about this. And I think it's something that you guys have definitely achieved, and it's something that kind of motivates me is, you can stay small and like you said, make a really good living. Like I'm not going to lie, I made more money when I was doing it all by myself, kind of, or with less people, right? But it's like not only can you not scale and not grow like a cool, impactful business, but you don't get to have that impact on other people. And I hear a lot of people out there whining about, woe is me and the economy's this and the country's that. And you can't make a positive impact on that if you don't grow something bigger. And I think the only way that you can grow something that's bigger and impactful is through hiring and building a team and then being able to do larger things. And not just are you making a bigger impact on the community that you're operating in, but also all the people that are working with you. When you look at like all the 60 employees that you guys have and the families that are able to be provided for through those jobs and stuff, like that's something that's super valuable, not just for your company and the people that work for you, but also, the community and their families and stuff like that. And I think to me, it's very motivating and yes, like scaling and building a big team is going to help achieve bigger business success, but it also achieves that bigger impact. So I think that's something that's really cool and makes it very worth it.
You're spot on. I love that distinction.
Cool, man. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up here. Again, if you guys are enjoying this or getting something out of it, please don't forget to like and subscribe and follow and whatever options there are, depending on which platform you're listening to, because we really appreciate it and looking forward to doing more of these. In the meantime, we'll see you guys next time.